Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, fantastic Thursday to you. So, hey, I'm going to talk about a couple things this morning. I'm going to talk about the misconception of this virus that we have. First of all, it is very real, and it can be very dangerous to some people. But let's talk about statistics for a second, okay? I mean, like I've posted a few times that leaders make decisions based on data. Data is the most important thing in any decision you make, and that would be in business, and honestly, that would be in life. If you make decisions out of raw emotion, you make bad decisions every single time. Now, I'm not saying you can't make a good decision in quickly. Of course you can, but let's talk about the virus for a second, because there's so much misunderstanding of this, and not that I'm some scholar or I'm some sort of scientist, but I read up on this thing. Owning a business, I want to make sure that I'm not putting my people or anyone in their families or any of our customers in major jeopardy, even coming in to get an oil change on your vehicle. So I do my research on this virus. I'm listening to what the WHO is saying. I go and I research what the CDC is saying. I also have friends that are research biologists. What they think. I have friends that are doctors, friends that are nurses, and I'm going to be real honest with you. The opinions are all over the board. There's opinions all the way from we should all be at home in our basement to the opinion all the way on the other side that we should take the mask off and we should just let this thing spread like wildfire. So, and that's scientists. So I've had a really difficult time trying to figure out, I don't want to play politics with a virus either, but I don't want to hurt anyone. So what do we do? So if early on, I've been really researching it. Early on, we went from wear a mask, don't wear a mask, then wear a mask again, go get tested every time you get a sniffle, that you can't spread it unless you have a fever, which actually is pretty true. I mean, that's still on the CDC website. And now they've added a few things, like if you have symptoms, which they just don't know. I mean, that's the problem here. They really haven't known a lot about this virus. And some people that research this have even said the same thing, that it's kind of a funny virus. I'm going to leave that there. So here's what really baffles me about this election. Trump's been blamed for weaponizing this virus and making it political. And sorry, my arm hurts. So here's what really blows me away. In the beginning of this thing, I remember watching TV. I was glued to the television like every single one of you. And I was listening with Trump when Trump shut the country down. I also heard him a week or two before that saying that everything's fine and there's only a few cases in America, right? And you remember how quick this thing blew up in New York and how quick it blew up in California? That should have been an indication there that this thing, there's no stopping this thing. You can only slow it. But I mean, common sense, and hindsight's 2020, right? So I don't fault anyone for that. I really don't. I mean, I don't think anyone knew at all what to do with this virus when it first hit. But let's make some of these allegations facts right now. In the beginning, it came from China. China knew about this for about 3 or 4 months and didn't tell anybody. Told everybody they had it contained, it was under control. It was not. They had a big festival in Wuhan about 2 months after this thing started, and then it became a super spreader all over the country of China. President Trump was given information by Fauci and local advisors here in the United States that there was no problem with this thing. It should be fine. We're not going to have it in the United States. That's why he said we have nothing to worry about. He was listening to Fauci at that point. I for one, remember that. So you can't blame a president for listening to the scientists in the beginning saying there's nothing wrong, and then get mad at him several months later when he's running for president that he did exactly what the scientists told him to do. And even early on when he shut the country down, who did he listen to? Scientists. He listened to the CDC. Actually, not even just the CDC, the head of the CDC, Fauci, right? Sorry about that. So then we went on from there. And then the whole test debacle. Early on, the only tests we had were tests from China. They were only about 40% accurate. We didn't even have a company in America making it. You remember, early on, Trump enabled the WARS Act and started making Ford and everybody else make respirators because we were told we needed respirators. Remember that? How we were so low on respirators and it was the federal government's responsibility, so he did the WARS Act and He got a ton of respirators made in a hurry. Also, he made test kits. Also, he remember, do you remember the PPP, the masks that were on the airplane that we purchased and were outbid by another country, and China was loading them on another plane? See, I remember these things. Trump went and said, oh no, those are our masks, and we took them back. We didn't steal them. We purchased them, and they sold them to the highest bidder. That's who China is. Okay? But no, the news don't want to report it that way. So he, early on, hardly any companies in America made masks. These are all being made in China. They still are. See, the problem is with this global stuff, we found out pretty quickly that global environment doesn't work when you have a pandemic, because they think of themselves and countries sell to the highest bidder. That's the truth. Okay? So then we get past that, and India does the Wars Act on companies in America to start making PPP. So here we're ramping up our PPP, ramping up our respirators, and the whole reasons why the PPP was low from H1N1 is another conversation. All right? I'm talking about the actions of the President of the United States. But I remember him having a meeting every day for 2 months, like a month and a half straight, with Fauci there, telling him what to do. Then they went from no mask to mask, and we should do this, that was wrong, then we should do this, and that's wrong. Here's the problem. Trump got sick and tired of always being wrong. And he doesn't even blame the CDC as of right now. He says nobody knew about this thing, and he's the actual factual conversation, and nobody knew the right thing to do, and that's exactly the reason why he did what he did. Finally, he said, well, since nobody knows what to do, we're going to start listening to a broader range of scientists besides the CDC. That's what he did. So he's still listening to scientists. He's still listening to the people that are close to him, but the ones he trusts, not Fauci. He doesn't trust him. And I'm going to tell you, that dude's a rat. I think he's to the highest bidder. I think it's been since the beginning. Okay? Now let's talk about the facts behind the kill rate. We are the lowest kill rate in the world. You know why? We have the best medical system in the world. We have the smartest people in our medical system in the world. And Trump listens to them. Now, this is dangerous and we know it. But we're getting on top of how to treat this thing. We can't save everybody, but we certainly can save a higher percentage of people today than we could have in the beginning of this process, because nobody knew how to treat this thing. They were treating it like the flu, and it doesn't act like the flu. That's the reason why. And I got that from my doctor friends and my nurse friends. Okay? And even somebody very close to me who researches stuff for a living. All right? So they're getting on top of how to treat people. People are still dying of this. People die of the flu and the colds every day. All right? Not trying to minimize it, just telling you the facts. Okay? So I'm on Facebook last night, and if you take 40% of the people, let's just say the numbers are actual that they're reporting. Let's say the numbers are actual with the amount of people that have contracted the virus and that have died, which is way off, right? Because if you died with a sniffle and you had COVID and you had stage 4 cancer, you're still a COVID patient. So I don't even understand the thought process behind that, but it's just super weird to me. It's not even facts. Again, remember, data we make good decisions on, right? So if we had 20 million people contract the virus that have been tested and verified, and who cares how many people before had it and got over it or never went to go get tested because they're like, I'm not going to get tested and pad these stupid numbers, right? That's what we want to do. People want to pad the numbers, you know? Go take 14 tests a month until you have COVID. Right? So some people have this, they don't even know it. They say in 40% asymptomatic, which means you don't have a symptom. You don't even know you have to go get tested. All right, good luck trying to find good data with that. I think the number's probably higher than that. Like I said, I've had this. I lost my taste and smell. I had a fever for 1 day. I'm not trying to minimize it. People get worse, and they get worse symptoms. I did not. Okay? I just couldn't taste. Drove me nuts. Right? But my taste and smell came back about 3 to 4 weeks later. I had no other symptoms, and I had no fever. Okay, I felt great, actually. So 40% asymptomatic. So now put 40% on top of that number who's actually been tested, and then add that number. Then look at the number they have, the 200 and some thousand, and divide it by that. We're talking about 0.1 to 0.2% with that number. That doesn't count the people that they don't even know have been sick, and they're still alive. That doesn't take into effect how many people have died of terminal illnesses that were at the late stages of life and then got sick. If they would have got the flu, they would have died. How many people on chemotherapy, they say don't get sick, they stay home. If here's the problem, you have chemotherapy, your immune system's compromised. It can't protect you. So if you get a cold, it can kill you. These are the problems I'm having with these numbers. So I'm on Facebook last night. I'm thinking it's like 0.1 or lower, which is probably still high, right? And I have many people I would agree with that number, right? So you don't shut a country down for that. I'm going to be honest with you. You really don't. You don't shut down a country for that. But I'm on Facebook last night, and there's this thing that pops up about how Trump mishandled this, blah, blah, blah. And I just made a comment. I said, this is ridiculous. You don't even know the facts. You're just spreading a bunch of lies. And this is what happens. People will tell a story, and they keep spreading it. Next thing you know, 30% of the population is dying of this virus, and we better all, take a pill or we're going to perish in 2 weeks, right? So, and literally I just made a comment. I said, no, this isn't facts. This is nothing but hogwash to weaponize the virus for Biden to be elected. That's what's going on. And the media is right there with it. Every media channel except Fox News. So this girl pipes back. She goes, no, the number's really 5%. I just simply asked her, where are you getting your facts? Well, that's the number. Did you hear that? That's the number. See, no thought process behind it. All right? I just kind of looked at her page. She was a 30-year-old woman in San Francisco. All right? She doesn't own a business. She doesn't have to deal with it. She's probably been hunkered down for 6 months, probably getting a free check from the government. If you don't know what you're talking about, you probably need to shut your mouth. I'm not an expert, but I'm becoming one. Because I literally am answering this off the facts that I've generated that you can't hear on the news. You won't hear these facts. All right? Because they don't even tell you the facts because they don't want Donald Trump reelected. It boils down to that. They would rather lie to your face. Do you remember the signs that say anyone but Trump 2020? They will do anything. They would sell their soul. They will lie. They will rape, pillage, whatever they got to do to make sure this guy's not reelected. And then you got to start asking the question, why? Why does everyone not want this to happen to this level? I would never lie about Joe Biden. I think it's wrong. Everyone down here knows how I feel about Trump's rhetoric. I hate it. Okay? But let's talk about Joe. His son, if these allegations are true, that he did business dealings through his son with other nations for favors, this guy should be in prison, probably kicked out of our country for treason. Are you kidding me? And it's not a story. They're saying it's Russian misinformation. No, they have a laptop from Hunter Biden since January. So if it was Russian misinformation, why has the laptop been in the hand since January? Okay? The FBI sat on it. I can't stand things right at the last minute before the election either. And then you have all these social media companies saying that this laptop is Russian misinformation. I guess somebody from the right made the laptop kind of like the dossier was made from Hillary, used to weaponize against Trump, to get a FISA court to tap his house and listen to his conversations like Watergate with no information. Yeah, but that's not a story either. I better smile. See, God wins in all this. And I know that. But this misinformation is ridiculous. It's insane that people haven't stopped to look for themselves. They just believe what some bozo told them from Wyoming. Was throwing a state out there. Some dude sitting in his basement tweeting something about it that's not true. Instead of looking at it. Here's the problem with this process. Joe Biden... First of all, I can't believe a father doesn't know what his son's doing. Of course they do. My father knew everything I was doing. I'd call my dad and say, hey, what are you doing about this, Dad? Because that's what dads do. Dads listen to their kids when they have a question and they need some information and they ask questions. So of course he talked to his dad. It's stupid. And this guy they're trying to throw under the bus, the guy that's got security clearance, is one of the cleanest whistles in his family with a reputable record, is coming out saying, no, that family's corrupt. No, they're going, oh, he's a Russian spy. Are you kidding me? He's not a Russian spy. One more thing and then I'm going to get off. So I'm watching Tucker Carlson, right? They get these documents 2 days ago from a valid source in New York to prove the validity of the business dealings of Biden, right? The producer of Fox News puts him in the overnight shipment to California to Tucker Carlson. The next day they get a call or information from the place they shipped it through, I don't know who it was, that the package had been opened and the documents were missing. No kidding. It's facts. It's true. It's true. And the company they shipped it through was so disturbed they did this whole investigation going, what happened? Where did it get shipped to? Where could it possibly have happened? When would it have been opened? They interviewed all the people that touched the package, and they literally are so disturbed. They're like, we don't know why this happened. We can't even tell you why it happened. So in the process of being shipped overnight to Tucker Carlson to be put on the air, the documents were stolen. And you guys think this isn't corruption? You really think you're going to walk in there and see two names on a ballot? You got Joe Biden with his speculation that he's doing business dealings with other governments. You know what's awful funny too? When you're doing something, you just blame the other person for it. Therefore, it's deflection. Now, all of a sudden, Trump's made $13 billion from the Chinese government since he's become president. I asked the guy, I said, where are your facts? Well, that's what happened. Well, show me one article. Show me one article from even a left source that says that where's factual, that I can go research about him making $13 billion from Chinese officials. And by the way, if you have a hotel in China, you have to have a bank account there. Good try. It's so stupid. You have to funnel the money through the bank account. That's the rules in China. So they want to know how much money you're making in China. That's the reason why they do that. It's pretty smart business is what it is. So they can get their taxes and their fair share. So yeah, I don't understand why that was a big deal. But they're saying that all this money that went to this, that, but no, also from his business dealings in China before he was president, which is legal. What Biden did was illegal. So get your facts straight. There's no record of $13 billion from China. There's no article. There's nothing. I tore up the internet trying to find something. All I found were stories of people saying he made money from China with no facts. Get over it. The choice is clear. Tuesday, walk in there and ask yourself a simple question. Who do you trust for the next 4 years to run your country? The guy that was on an administration that couldn't get over 1% GDP for 8 years? Or the guy that blew that out of the water? Do you remember when Obama said we will never see 4% GDP growth in a year again? Do you remember him saying that? He was confident. It will never happen again. I remember that. First year of Trump's administration, we hit it. All right? He didn't mishandle the flu. He didn't mishandle this pandemic. If the kill rate was higher and the facts were there, the data was there, just like he did in the beginning, he would shut it down and he would go borrow the money and we would all be at home for 30 days without leaving. That would be a fact. And we would figure it out. But it's not there. To anyone who's passed away or knew somebody passed away with this disease, I'm sorry. This is not about them. I'm not trying to minimize this. And God be with you and peace for your family. This is China's fault. It's not Trump's. And it's not Joe Biden's fault. That I will say. Okay. That's about 18 minutes. But I want to get some facts out there because it doesn't seem like there's anyone researching this and putting out the facts in media. So it's going to be up to us average schlubs out there to go and search for ourselves and fact check ourselves, because even the fact checkers aren't factual. Okay? Anything I said unfactual in this, please post it. I'd like to know. Post the article and why it's not factual. Don't just go, that's not true, because that's stupid. Okay? It's not. I mean, if it's not true, you better have something to back it up. Okay? All right, man. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday and have a great weekend. Bye.